Good day. Hello and good day. So we are going to be starting this book club now. This book club is all about this book, which is called as Bhima's Wife. Bhima's Wife by Kavita Kane, who is a best-selling author of Karna's Wife. So Bhima's Wife is the tale. We're going to be doing this. So let's start now. Stay with me till the end. Let's wait for more to join in. So I'll just tell you a bit more about this. Yeah, so I'll tell you more about this. So she has also written Karna's Wife, as I said. So let's start with what it is about. So before Draupadi, there was Hidimbi, the first and the eldest Pandava daughter-in-law, a status that was denied to her throughout her life, through the years, down the centuries. She remains the forgotten wife, the forgotten queen, the forgotten woman in the Mahabharata. Hidimbi was a demoness by birth and a queen by right. So, in the shadows of this great Indian epic, she stands alone. So, that's why we don't hear much about her and about mostly we see only that we talk about Draupadi, we talk about people like Sita and other women, even Gandhari, Kunti and all we talk about, but very rarely has anybody talked about Hidimba. And Subhadra we have talked about, there are books about her. And Draupadi, of course, is the most popular. And Hidimba is hardly spoken of. Strangely enough, she is the eldest daughter-in-law, which is the actual fact. So we see that she saved Bhima. She bore his son. She stood by the family that killed her brother Hidimb. And when the call of war came, she sacrificed her only child, which was Ghatotkacha, who was the first Pandava grandson, for a cause that never truly embraced her. So why was her story never told? Was it because she was a Rakshasi? Or was it because the heroes of the epic could do no wrong? This powerful reimagining gives voice to Hidimbi and her story of love, betrayal, strength, and sacrifice. A little about the author. So, Kavita Kane is a best-selling author of 8 novels. Today, she is considered a revolutionary force in Indian writing, mainly because she has brought in feminism where it is most needed, that is in mythology. So, happy Women's Day to all the women out there. All of her novels, Kavita Kane's novels, like Karna's wife in 2013, Sita's sister in 2014, Menika's choice 2015, Lanka's princess, which is 2016, the Fisher Queen's Dynasty 2017, Ahalya's Awakening 2019, Saraswati's Gift 2021, and Tara's Druze 2023 are all based on this lesser known woman in Indian mythology. So, for one who confesses that the only skill she knows is writing, her word journey not unexpectedly began as a journalist with twin postgraduate degrees in English literature and mass communication, and journalism also from the University of Pune. So, with a career of over 2 decades, yes, that's 20 years, in Magna Publishing and DNA, she eventually quit her job as an assistant editor of the Times of India to devote herself to becoming a full-time author. Passionate about theatre, cinema, and the arts, she is also a columnist, a screenplay writer, and a motivational speaker who has given several talks all across the country's educational and research institutes, corporate and management fora, and literary festivals. So, born in Mumbai with a childhood spent largely in Patna and Delhi, she now lives in Pune with Prakash, her marina husband, 2 daughters, Kimaya and Amiya, 2 dogs, Chicken Bew and Cotton, the uncurious cat. So, that was interesting, I guess. And she has dedicated this book, Bhima's Wife, to all the single mothers and all those mothers who have single-handedly brought up their child or children. Now, we'll move on to the prelude soon. Before that, let's take a short look at something here that I have put together for you. Before we read an extract from the book, an excerpt from it, let's take a look at the few notes that I have made for you today. So, Bhima's Wife by Kavita Kane is a powerful retelling of the Mahabharata from Hidimbi's perspective. Hidimbi or Hidimba, whichever you would like. Hidimbi is what she's most known as. Some people call it as Hidimba, but I think it's Hidimbi. So this was his first wife, and only then came Draupadi. So Hidimbi's story, she's a Rakshasi, a demoness who saves Bhima's life and falls in love with him. Despite their marriage, the Pandavas leave her behind and she raises their son Gatotkacha alone. So the themes here in the book are love, sacrifice, identity, and the struggles of being an outsider in a patriarchal society. So key moments are that Hidimbi's complex relationship with Bhima, her brother Hidimba, whom Bhima kills, and then her bond with Gatotkacha. So this thinking that she could marry someone who has killed her own brother, that itself is something to ponder about, that you can deeply actually delve on and think about how she could easily do that. So her bond with Gatotkacha, and of course before that I would like to say what was her real intention marrying Bhima, whether they had anything to do with her brother's death or it was not related. You know what I mean? Since it's very unusual to be stepping into a marriage with someone who has actually killed her own brother. So before that, her bond with Gatotkacha and her sacrifice of him, her own son, the first grandson of the Pandavas, in the of the of the of this of the kingdom, the royals. So her sacrifice of the child in the Kurukshetra war, her interactions with other strong women like Draupadi and of course Kunti, the queen mother. So the book explores Hidimbi's emotional journey, highlights her strength, resilience, and vulnerability. It is a fresh take on the Mahabharata, focusing on the often overlooked stories of women in the epic. So, before we move on, there are some discussion questions that you can ponder about, like how does Hidimbi's character challenge traditional notions of femininity and strength? What does the book reveal about the societal norms and expectations of ancient India? And then, how does Hidimbi's story relate to contemporary issues of identity, belonging, and women's rights? Since we don't have enough of participation happening here among all the participants, I would suggest you write back to me with your answers, with your thoughts, or even record your thoughts and send it on to me. I would surely appreciate it, and it would be encouragement as well to continue. So, next we see some more uh, things about the discussion questions which we have with possible answers, like how does Hidimbi's character challenge traditional notions of femininity and strength? So I have the answers here. Hidimbi's strength and agency, her strength and what you could say, her tenacity, all of that challenge traditional norms. She's a powerful Rakshasi who makes her own choices, like marrying Bhima. So he's a human and she's a Rakshasi, so it's very unusual. What does the book reveal about the societal norms and the expectations of ancient India? So the book highlights patriarchal norms like the women's roles being tied to family and husbands. So Hidimba's story shows the struggles of being an outsider. How does Hidambi's relationship with Gatotkacha shape her character? Her love for her child, her son, the eldest grandchild, first grandchild of the Pandavas, that drives her sacrifices. It shows her strength as a mother. What symbolism does a forest hold in the story? The forest represents Hidimba's freedom, her isolation, a place where she's both powerful and alone. How does the book portray the theme of identity and belonging? So Hidimba's struggles show her searching for her place in the world, caught between her Rakshasi nature and human connections. Now, a few quotes from here. A woman's love is like the earth. It is deep and wide and it swallows all pain. So the theme here is love and sacrifice. Hidimbi's love for Bhima and Gatotkacha drives her sacrifices. It highlights the depth of her mother's love. I was a Rakshasi, a creature of darkness, and he was a warrior, a shining light. So symbol here is light and darkness, representing the contrast between their worlds, Bhima and Hidimbi's worlds. The theme here is identity and belonging. A woman's life is not hers alone, it belongs to her family, her husband, her children. So that quote, the theme here is societal expectations and women's roles. It highlights the patriarchal norms that Hidimbi navigates. Now some key symbols here from this are the forest. It represents Hidimbi's freedom and isolation. The sword symbolizes Bhima's power and warrior identity, and Gatotkacha represents Hidimbi's love and sacrifice. So those were some quotes and questions with answers for you, discussion questions you can think about and tell me your perspective of it later. by messaging me. You can email me to that on my email, SARITAMWARIYER @gmail.com, all small capital letters. You can WhatsApp message me or even record your thoughts on this and send it on WhatsApp at +91, that's India code 9961664026. So a review here on the Goodreads site from a person called A_Gemini Reader particularly caught my eye. It's a top-rated review, and on November 24, 2025, the person has written that some stories don't shout for your attention. They quietly find a corner of your heart and sit there. So Bhima's wife felt exactly like that for me. I picked it up thinking I already knew the Mahabharata. But this book gently reminded me how much of history is shaped by voices we never hear. And Hidimbi, she is one of those voices we should have heard long ago. So Kavita Kane brings her to life with a softness that hits unexpectedly. You don't just read Hidimbi, you feel her. A woman who wasn't a princess, wasn't accepted, wasn't celebrated, yet loved with her own heart, with her whole heart. A woman who saved Bhima, loved him, built a life with him, and still stood outside the circle that is supposed to be her home. So there's something deeply human about her longing to belong. I hope I don't have a cold coming on. I'm sniffling a bit. So the parts that stayed with me the longest were her sacrifices, the kind that no mother, no woman should ever have had to make. Loving a man who killed her brother, standing with a family that never called her their own, and then offering her only son to a war that didn't even consider her worthy of a name. So that kind of pain doesn't scream, it quietly breaks you. So what touched me most was the way the author refuses to paint Hidimbi as either a victim or a legend. She lets her be real, flawed, with all her mistakes, all her errors, fiery, vulnerable, stubborn, tender. So with accepting her in the real way, however she is, in all the things that women in epics rarely get to be. So Sita, Draupadi, they were all powerful. They could make no mistakes. Sita particularly, she could make no mistake. She was almost like a goddess. Hidimbi is more human in that way, even if she's a Rakshas. So through simple but powerful writing, I'm putting in my own insights there along with the review. So through simple but powerful writing, she makes you question why Hidimbi's story was ignored. Was it because she was a Rakshasi? Was it because it's easier to glorify heroes when their mistakes stay hidden? So by the time I finished, I wasn't just turning the last page, I was sitting with her story, thinking about how many women like Hidimbi have been forgotten simply because they didn't fit the perfect mold. So this book doesn't just retell an old tale, it brings in dignity, depth, and also emotion to a woman who deserved so much more than silence. So if you love stories that make you pause, feel, and rethink everything that you thought you knew about our epics, then this is a book that will stay with you long after you're done reading. It stayed with me, and honestly, I think it will stay with you too. Now, a top review from India on the Amazon site tells us this, that the book has been given 5.1 out of 5 stars. Anandarupa Chakrabarti has given us this review, and her feedback on this is at She says it is a magnificent read. It is reviewed in India on 5th January 2026 in the format of the Kindle edition, which is a verified purchase. So she says her family she has declined to acknowledge in this very forest. So the daughter-in-law she had forsaken. I started this year by reading what I love to read. Kavita Kane writes about one of the most underrated female pillars of the Mahabharata, the woman who no one ever explored in literature. So, Bhima's wife is more than just an exploration of Hidimbi as Ghatotkacha's mother or Bhima's wife. The beauty of Kane's exceptional writing is that she makes you live through her protagonist. She has a soft yet bold feminist take. So, Bhima's wife brings out layers of emotional and also personal changes in Hidimbi's life. So, from a young woman who's deprived of family love and is scared of her brother Hidim's wrath, she is slowly and very maturely shown as a woman in love with the Pandava prince Bhima. Despite knowing the challenges, the void that their separation would bring, Bhima and Hidimbi marry. So, therefore, what starts there are new emotional challenges of being an unwanted daughter in law, of being a single mother, and living with a gripping terror of losing her child to him, to them. So, from a woman who just wanted to be free and experience freedom in her own land with her own people, to a mother grieving her child's death. Kane represents Hidimbi's dual nature of being fierce and vulnerable. So, Kavita Kane's portrayal of Hidimbi is a mirror of a general wife, or the general wife of a woman. So, their wants, their dreams, all of that is lost in sacrifices and warmth of motherhood to not be a victim but heroically overcome all odds. So, if you wish to read an engaging feminist mythology fiction with engaging storytelling, vivid and poignant, then Bhima's Wife by Kavita Kane is a must read. So, there it is, the reviews and the quotes and a bit of a summary there for you. Now, I will go back to reading an extract for you, an excerpt, and we can come back again to other things about the book. We're already into 23 minutes of the book meet. So the prelude says that the forgotten wife, she was a forgotten wife, is how she is called. For all her power, for all her strength, was a Rakshasi, she could not get the kind of get the kind of attention that say Draupadi or even Kunti got, and of course Gandhari, even though she was blindfolded, they got the limelight, as I would call it. Hidimbi got none of it. She must have tried, but she didn't get it, which is a fact, even if you choose to ignore it. So, kudos to Kavita Kane, I would say, for thinking of this concept of Hidimbi, thinking about this particular person and bringing her to life for us. So, here is it, the forgotten wife. Kunti spotted her at once, even from such a distance, as a tall figure approached the hut. The early sun rising behind her, encircling her in a golden glaze. Her heart contracted. Hidimbi, she stifled a gasp. The one person Kunti dreaded meeting after all these long years. Kunti clenched her fists, and the gnarled fingers dug painfully into her wizened palms. But she would have to meet her. The day had arrived when she had to face this woman, to face the unspoken accusation, to face the consequences of that one deed. Her frail shoulders trembled, but it was not the frosty mountain air that made her shiver. Hiddenby, she whispered as the younger woman bowed and touched her feet. I came as soon as I heard you were here, said Hiddenby. Her voice as pleasingly throaty as Kunti recalled. It had been so long since they last met, when Hiddenby was a solemn girl, and she had been hateful, Kunti thought with a grimace, shutting her rheumy eyes momentarily. Kunti could not easily meet the eyes that rested on her with a detached scrutiny and an ironical kindliness. I have come to take you home, Ma, continued Hidimbi, her clear green eyes piercing Kunti's soul. For Hidimbi, her mother-in-law, seemed very tired. Her tragic face was drawn and white. Her fine dark eyes had lost their fire. Kunti flinched. Home? I have no home now, dear, said Kunti, her lips twisting into a tiny dry smile. I am spending my last days in the forest with my sister-in-law Gandhari and my brother-in-laws Dhritarashtra and Vidur. Hidimbi gave an aloof yet beautiful smile. I never did get to meet them, she rued, lifting her shoulders. But this was your home once, she continued softly, her voice gracious as always. Kunti winced Hidimbi's words like a dagger twisting in an open wound. But you are far away from your home too, much higher in the mountains in your calm Yaka forest, said Kunti. I stay alone, smiled Hidimbi, far away from it all. An escape, no, a haven, corrected Hidimbi. I found my peace there. Kunti had the grace to blush. I am in search of it too, that peace. After winning the Kurukshetra war, you must have found your peace, said Hidimbi, and Kunti thought she heard a hint of irony in the other woman's voice. You got back your thwarted throne, the usurped crown for your sons, the lost prestige, and therefore earned some peace. Kunti regarded her with staring, troubled eyes. Why was she being so calm? It was cruel. I lived long enough to enjoy all that, she muttered. Yet, living in the Hastinapur palace with the Pandavas and your grandson, you finally decided to move to the forest here in the mountains? Her voice trailed away, watching the dark flush on the elderly woman's withered face. Hidimbi continued briskly, I wanted to welcome all of you to my home. Hidimbi's ready sympathy brought a sob into her voice. Kunti shook her head weakly. We don't deserve the honor. You are my mother-in-law after all, Ma, the mother of my husband, said Hidimbi, her husky voice oddly flat and toneless, the grandmother of my dead son. She paused, her tone even, your eldest grandson, Gatok Kach. Guilt grabbed her and Kunti felt her throat go dry. She nodded helplessly. He died a warrior's death, fumbled the old lady. Gatoch Kach saved my Arjun. He saved us from defeat. Kunti saw the younger woman clench and unclench her fists, detecting the raw pain shimmering in her eyes. The severe and handsome face was distorted by grief wrung from her, restrained by reason and faith. Kunti looked away. She felt it was indecent to peer into the struggle she herself could not control. Hidimbi was quick to conceal it by breaking into a gentle smile. Kach lives on in our hearts through his wife, his son. Don't you want to meet the family? The tender tone tore open Kunti's heart. She gave a shuddering sob, her frail hands clutching at her heart. No, don't, Hidimbi. What family do I have now? I lost them all. I lost everyone. Hidimbi, unsmiling now, a reflective look on her face, shook her head. No, ma, I lost all. First, I lost my husband, Bhima, to you, and I lost my son to your war, she said quietly. You still have your 5 sons, the able Pandavas, and a grandson, Parikshit, the heir to the Hastinapur throne, and your remarkable daughter-in-law, Draupadi, the queen of Hastinapur. You have your family. The soft tone held a hard accusation. Kunti felt tears sting her unseeing eyes. Oh, this war, this wretched war. Hidimbi, don't taunt an old mother so cruelly. Hidimbi held her in a long and embarrassed look of appraisal. I did not mean to hurt you, Hidimbi said finally, holding the wizened hands, a skin as translucent and creased as old parchment. You have your sons and grandson in Hastinapur, I realize. Here in Kamyaka, life goes on too. I was speaking of the son of Ghatotkach, my grandson, Barik, she said fondly. He is a fine warrior, vowing to protect the forest and the weak. He just got married. This is my family. Hidimbi's voice sounded strangely sanguine. Her face held an inexplicable serenity, holding peace within despite all the suffering that had been inflicted on her. Kunti was astonished at her mobile temperament, which could so easily pass from mood to mood. Kunti seemed to lose herself in thoughts of the past. They had all borne the bloody consequence of violence and tragedy, but watching the twin pools of soft tranquility in Hidimbi's liquid eyes, Kunti realized that none, not she, not Gandhari, nor Draupadi, could stand so dignified and elegant in her personal tragedy. Kunti had been conscious from the beginning of this unsettling meeting that the quiet personality of this woman would dominate the conversation. She was filled with awe and dread. Notwithstanding her kindliness, Kunti felt guilty in her presence. She could never be quite at ease with Hidimbi, for she was now filled with a sentiment that was so strange it mortified her. Reverence, and along with it a deep regret of what she had done. Repentant tears thickly flowed down her raddled cheeks. Yes, family, choked Kunti, her thin, tired body shaking. A family she had declined to acknowledge in this very forest, the daughter-in-law she had forsaken. So this was one part of that, an extract for you all. I'm sure you would love to know further about this book. Read it, buy it, read it, or even get to know more about Hidimbi as such. There's actually even a temple there for her. I found photos of that dedicated to her. So she's not been entirely forgotten, or at least now people are remembering her. There's a temple for her, and she's worshipped like a goddess, like Hidimbi Devi. In fact, in some places with a deity and an idol also there for her. So that was about a little bit about this book. More extensive reading or things that you want to do with slides and other things I can present surely, but that will be more in depth, but that we'll have to do another day, another time, and it will be for an exclusive audience, as you may understand what I mean, because I can't have riffraff coming in, which is what I am concerned about. So here, there you are. That's the end of it. If you want me to do another part for you, maybe just a bit more about this, if you want, I could look it up for you and let you know more, since it's such an interesting thing that even I feel like going on and on, though I shouldn't. Let's see about a few discussion questions that I could come up with, like how does Hidimbi's story relate to contemporary issues. See, themes of identity, belonging, and women's struggles are still relevant today, which is why this book is so interesting. Hidimbi's experiences resonate with modern discussions on feminism and societal expectations. Now, what role does Bhima play in Hidimbi's life? Bhima represents both love and loss for Hidimbi. His presence shapes her journey and her sense of self. And you will see that the author uses mythology in the story. And how does she do it? So Kavita Kane reimagines the Mahabharata through Hidimbi's lens, adding depth to the epic's characters and themes. What message do you think the author conveys through Hidimbi's story? Hidimbi's story highlights the strength and resilience of women, often overlooked in traditional narratives. Would you like a few more quotes? So here it is for you. I was a creature of the night, a shadow, a whisper. So Hidimbi's identity, she is describing her life as a Rakshasi, highlighting her isolation and her otherness. A woman's love is like the earth. It is deep and wide and it swallows all pain. Motherly love, that is there. Motherly love. So Hidimbi's love for Gatotkacha is unconditional. It shows the depth of a mother's sacrifice. He was my light, my reason for living. So Bhima's impact. Hidimbi's love for Bhima gives her life meaning, but it also leads to pain. I have been abandoned, left to live in the shadows. So abandonment and isolation. These are Hidimbi's feelings of loneliness and rejection, which shape this story. Now we'll have here a short summary for you once more, which is as an ending, as a conclusion. Here we'll end it here in 3 minutes. Here's a quick summary of Bhima's wife here now for you, the book. So the story is retelling Mahabharata from Hidimbi's perspective. So Bhima's first wife. So she is a Rakshasi who saves Bhima, falls in love with him and raises their son Gatotkacha alone after being abandoned. The themes are love, sacrifice, identity, societal expectations and women's struggles. So let's have a deeper dive into this before we finish. So her character arc, she starts as a powerful Rakshasi, falls in love with Bhima, becomes a devoted mother to Gatotkacha. Her identity shifts from a creature of the forest to a wife and mother, highlighting her sacrifices. In the theme of abandonment, Bhima leaves Hidimbi and she faces societal rejection. This abandonment shapes her actions and decisions, much like her relationship with Gatotkacha. So Gatotkacha's role, he is a symbol of Hidimbi's love and sacrifice. So his fate in the Kurukshetra war adds to Hidimbi's tragedy. Now the book has feminist undertones for sure. The book reimagines the Mahabharata, focusing on Hidimbi's strength and struggles, and also you could see its challenges traditional portrayals of women in mythology. Now let us explore her let us explore this hidden, her inner conflict, as I would call it. Her Rakshasi nature versus her love for Bhima and Gatotkacha creates tension. So she navigates being an outsider in human society. So the symbolism of Gatotkacha's death, it represents Hidimbi's ultimate sacrifice as a mother and her powerlessness against fate. Hidimbi's relationship with Kunti and Draupadi, her sister-in-law and her mother-in-law, it highlights the complexities of female relationships in a patriarchal society. And her relationship with Kunti and Draupadi, you'll say that with Kunti, it represents a matriarchal figure that Hidambi can never fully be part of. So Kunti's actions or lack actually thereof towards feelings towards Hidimbi highlight the societal norms and the class differences. With Draupadi is a contrast to Hidimbi, so a woman who embraces her power and position. So their interactions show Hidimbi's feelings of inadequacy and isolation. Now, how these relationships shaped Hidimbi's character? You will see that her interactions with Kunti and Draupadi shaped her self-perception for sure. Inadequacy and isolation, Hidambi feels like an outsider among the Pandavas women because it reinforced her loneliness. Strength and resilience, observing Kunti's strategies and Draupadi's assertiveness, her strength is she finds her own strength, Hidimbi, in protecting the Gatotkacha. So that is where she finds her strength. Kunti is strategic, she's got good moves. Of course, Draupadi was very assertive and a strong woman. Hidambi's own strength was found in protecting Gatotkacha. Complex female relationships are here, so their dynamics navigate the varied ways that women navigate patriarchal societies. Now, would you like to explore more about Hidambi's growth or these relationships? So, we'll say yes, shall we? I think so, you would want to. So, Hidambi's growth is that she evolves from a powerful, isolated Rakshasi to a devoted mother. She finds purpose in Gatotkacha and later his son. So her sacrifices show her strength and love. In complex relationships, Kunti and Draupadi both influence Hidambi's journey. It highlights societal pressures and also female solidarity in a patriarchal world. So next what we're going to do is we're going to discuss specific scenes or themes related to Hidambi's growth and relationships. So we will conclude with this particular section. So Hidambi's encounter with Draupadi. When Draupadi meets Hidambi, it highlights Hidambi's feelings of being an outsider. So Draupadi's curiosity, her kindness towards Gatotkacha shows a contrast between their lives. And then the impact on Hidambi. This encounter might have reinforced Hidambi's awareness of her place outside of the Pandavas' world. So, in conclusion, I would say that Bhima's wife is a powerful retelling of the Mahabharata from Hidambi's perspective. It explores themes of love, sacrifice, and identity. Her journey as a Rakshasi, wife, and a mother highlights her strength and resilience in a patriarchal society. Her relationships with strong women like Kunti and Draupadi, who influence the Pandavas and change the whole Mahabharatas and actually form the whole story, and also Gatotkacha shape her character, showcasing complex female dynamics and societal pressures. So this book offers a fresh take on this epic, focusing on Hidambi's emotional depth and struggles. It makes it a very compelling read for those interested in mythology and feminist perspectives. So I'll end there. I hope you found it interesting. See you again next time.